From WisPolitics in Madison, you're listening to Capital Chats.
Hello, everybody. This is Kate Morton with WisPolitics here with a Capital Chats podcast brought to you by Spectrum. Today I'm in the office with my colleague Audrey Thiebert to talk about an interview she did with 8th Congressional District Republican candidate Tony Wied. So, Audrey, what did you guys talk about?
Yeah, thanks, Kate. So me and Tony talked about his campaign, including his endorsement from Donald Trump and how that impacts the election, as well as top issues in Wisconsin like abortion, which has been an important issue in the 8th Congressional District race. We also talked about his debate with his Democratic opponent, Dr. Kristin Lyerly, which will take place this Friday.
All right, Audrey, thanks so much. Let's get into the interview.
Tony, thanks so much for joining Cap Chats today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Great. So we'll just sort of jump into the questions. To get started, this interview is coming ahead of a special election on the November ballot, as well as like the regular election. And so the results for the August special primary and regular primary differed slightly. And do you have any concerns that voters will be, confused by the ballot on November 5th, listing the race twice?
It is a unique race. It has a special election, which Governor Evers called into play in May. And so I think it's important as I get around all 11 counties and talk to folks that, we explain exactly what's going on here. It's unusual that there's a special election. And so the special election is to serve from November 12th through the end of the year for Mike Gallagher's seat since he resigned on April 18th. So there will be two spots to vote for me on the ballot on November 5th, and one is for the special election. And again, that is for November 12th through the end of the year. Now, the general election is the normal one that you would vote for, and that is for the next term, which starts January 3rd and then goes for 2 years. So it is confusing. I'm hearing a lot of questions about it. People thought maybe I was already in office because we won. But of course, during the primary, you had to find the winner of the Republican side and the Democratic side for the special and general. And that's what we're going to see on November 5th.
Yeah, great. And sort of getting into some of the issues that voters will be considering this November. Democrats have made abortion a major focus of their national campaign, as well as many states. I know that's a big issue in Wisconsin. How's that sort of playing into the 8th Congressional District?
So look, my wife Angela and I have been partners in everything we've done in our life, including running our business. And our number one job always was to be a good spouse and to be a good father, and for her a mother. And our 4 children, who are now all in college and grad school, are the greatest joys of our life. And the Supreme Court made the decision that the abortion issue is in the state's hands where it was previous. And it's important to continue to stress that that's where the decision is made. And we're going to continue to focus on the things that we can control here in the United States Representative and in Congress. And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, and sort of just digging into that issue just a little bit more. Some Wisconsin Republicans have called for a statewide referendum that would ban abortion after 12 or 14 weeks. Do you think that's an appropriate time after which to ban abortions, or would you prefer it be earlier or later? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I think the decision was made by the Supreme Court that it is certainly a state issue, and that's where people really need to get involved and support and vote for those in the state assembly and the state senate, and let them have that dispassionate debate, hopefully, and truly do the right thing based off of what the voters want in Wisconsin.
Great, yeah, and you currently have Trump's endorsement, and do you have any thoughts about how that endorsement will affect this election, and how has it affected your campaign?
Well, I had President Trump's endorsement in the primary, and having President Trump's endorsement is an honor of a lifetime. To have the 45th president endorse me and vet me out and knew that that I would be a strong conservative, somebody that would fight hard to do what's right for America, and that aligns with those people here in District 8. And I just believe strongly that we need to return to the policies of the Trump administration. It was working. I asked people, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And the resounding answer is no. And we see that the economy was better off. The border was more secure. In our world, the national security was much safer than it is now over these last 3.5 years. It's very, very troubling. And I will do everything I can, to ensure that President Trump wins in November. We're out campaigning hard. We were today out at the Trump bus tour in Green Bay and met with a bunch of great folks. The energy is amazing in support of change right now. And we truly need that. And I'm going to continue to fight hard for President Trump.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of Trump's policies. Something that's come up a lot is tariffs. Do you have any concerns that Trump's tariffs proposals would raise prices for Americans and Wisconsinites? Sorry.
Well, President Trump is a great negotiator, and I believe strongly that we need free and fair trade in this country. We need to get as many jobs, manufacturing jobs and otherwise, back here into the United States and support American countries. And so, I think smart tariffs can be used as a tool, and I support that in certain situations where it is needed in order to get leverage, in order to have better trade and fair and free trade with other countries around this world, especially our adversaries. And so I'm in favor of that when needed, and tactically and strategically, again, to support American workers, support jobs right here in the United States.
Yeah, and this podcast is going to be aired on Wednesday, and on Friday you'll be debating your opponent, Dr. Kristin Lyerly. What do you look forward to with this debate, and what do you see as the benefits, or what are you expecting with that?
Well, I think it's important for me to get out in the public as much as possible. And I was fortunate to have a very tough primary against two great opponents on the Republican side. I spent many days, most days since April, traveling around all 11 counties, meeting with people in groups and in person, and truly, just letting them get to know me and what I stand for. And I have a business background, a small family business that my wife, Angela, and I ran together as partners. And, telling them, look, I'll take a pragmatic approach to things. I'm here to solve problems. I'm here to represent you. And I will do that in this mission that I have, which is public service. And, I think it's also going to be a great opportunity. I had 7 forums and debates during the primary where, many were televised and people could see where I stood. I would encourage people to look at those, along with many interviews that I've had in the past. And I think you'll find that there is a stark contrast between me and my opponent here in this general election. I'm the only candidate that has successfully run a business here in the district. And I think that's something to be proud of. And I think I want to continue to talk to other small businesses in this community. There's many small businesses, farmers, manufacturing, and businesses that, are working hard day in and day out. It's very difficult. And even going to the second and third generation. And I think it's great. I want them all to be successful. And that's something that I'm going to continue to champion. I also think my opponent is a rubber stamp for the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden administration, which is very troubling to me. Which means she, aligning with those policies would mean that you want open borders. And we're seeing that over the last 3.5 years in such a troubling way that is causing so much crime and criminality. And it's just upending local cities and towns and counties from law enforcement and so forth. I think you're going to find that she's going to continue to want more, government spending and price controls. Those are things that socialist and Marxist countries have done and have failed miserably. That's not America. That's not the free markets of America and for us to achieve the American dream. And, I continue to ask, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And the answer is no. We see rising prices at such a high rate. And I think those policies, that this administration has and that she's aligned with, speak for themselves. So I'm looking forward to people continuing to get to know me. And I'm going to continue to talk about what I will do and the problems that we see and how I'm going to solve them. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to watching that. And last question, you've definitely touched on a lot of this, but if you want to expand a little bit, like why are you running and what are your priorities if you're elected to office?
Well, I had the good fortune of running our small business. It was a difficult time for almost 30 years. And we were also raising our 4 boys, which was our most important job. But having a business to support them was extremely important to me. So we were quiet and we just worked hard and did our business. And after having the good fortune of selling our business 2 years ago, which we didn't expect, and we prayed a lot on it as far as what our next chapter is in life. And I continued to ask for a sign. What is my next step? And I wanted to find something where Angela and I could make a difference and serve. And I love this country so much. And I've always wanted to serve, just like my grandfather served in World War II, who was my mentor and my idol, so to speak. And, this came to me, and this was a sign when Mike Gallagher decided not to run again, that this is the opportunity to be a public servant, to make public service our sole mission, and to bring a pragmatic approach and solve problems day in and day out that we so desperately need as problem solvers in Congress now more than ever. We see people just trying to win arguments all day long, and nothing seems to be solved. And meanwhile, we have rising inflation at a level that we haven't seen for 40 years. We see instability around the world that is very dangerous, and we are at risk of a world war because of the lack of leadership in this administration. And then we look at the border. It's completely wide open. I believe in legal immigration, but we cannot have 15 plus million people come into our country right now that we don't know who they are. We can't afford it. Our communities can't afford it from a safety perspective. And again, I am going to bring real world solutions to this job. I'm going to fight hard and be a public servant for those in District 8 of all people. And, it truly is an honor right now. And I like to say, look, it's not that I want to, although I do want to be a public servant and be a member of the House of Representatives. I feel it's an obligation and a need that I'm able to serve.
Thanks so much, Tony. That's Tony Wied, the Republican candidate for Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District. Thanks again for joining Cap Chats.
Well, thank you. Look forward to doing this again.
All right, Audrey, thank you so much for sharing that with us. In the meantime, if our listeners want to listen to our other interview that you did with Kristin Lyerly, they can head to our website at wispolitics.com. But in the meantime, I'm Kate Morton.
I'm Audrey Thiebert.
Thanks for listening to WisPolitics Capital Chats, brought to you by Spectrum.